Hey guys. I found a way. I don't know why I didn't even think of it before, but I just decided to use the webcam on my laptop as an extra camera. There might be a bit of lag, so just let me know if it's just better without it or if you guys do want to see me. Otherwise, I can just get rid of it and we can carry on like we did before. Just also, if you guys can let me know how the audio is, if it's all good, then we can get going. So welcome back, Marie, Louise, Jamie. Nice to see you guys. I already have your names on the list. So it's a pretty short list if no one else is going to be a part of the live stream chat, which means that you guys stand a pretty good chance of getting that print. So that's good. So let's just have a quick overview of what we did yesterday. So yesterday we managed to do the real sort of blurry underlayer. So we did this and we put down our base colors, and that made it a lot easier for us to decide what our base colors were going to be and how to approach putting a base layer down. Because it at least stops your eye from concentrating on all the details. And then we started adding the detailing to the fish, the eyes and the scales on the back. And I am quite happy with that. If we compare the results already, hey Ronnie, nice to see you on here. Okay, I'm putting you on the list. Ronnie. So if we already compare these two to each other, so this one is a bit smaller. I didn't realize how much smaller. But I'm able to put finer details on this one than I am on this one. And the colors already seem to be quite pigmented on this one, even though I haven't added everything to it yet. So that is, the color definitely makes a difference. So the minute you apply fixative, it seems to dull the color down a bit on the sanded paper, but not so much on the watercolor paper. So that is a bit of a difference. And also just looking at it, you can see the texture of the sanded paper, which I don't mind too much, to be honest. I think it's okay. I'm not too fussed about it. And yeah, so I like using both. The backgrounds are good on both. And actually the background on this one seems like it could be darker. Maybe it's just the lighting, I'm not sure. But I guess we'll do a final comparison right in the end to see which one we like better. And also, we'll see how fine we can go in the fins in this one compared to this one. Because this one, because it's such a sanded paper, the texture of the paper makes the point of the pencil go down really quickly. So you can't put such teeny tiny details on the sanded paper like you can with the watercolor paper, because the watercolor paper doesn't eat your pencil up as much. So that's also something I've noticed. But like I said, we'll do a final comparison towards the end, and then we'll be able to have a look. Let me just put this away. So for anyone that missed yesterday's stream, I'll just tell you which paper we're using. So we are using this paper. This is the Aquarello watercolor paper. It is 200 GSM and it's the hot press paper, and it's nice and smooth. So any watercolor paper that you guys want to use between 200 and 300 GSM is a nice weight of paper. It's not too thin and it's not too thick. And then pick the hot pressed one and the smooth one, and that is going to be the best one. So the smoother the better if you want to get something, if you want to draw something that is quite smooth. Or if you want something with a lot of texture, then go ahead and get something with a better texture. Also know that if you are going to use a textured paper, it is going to take you a lot longer to layer. It isn't going to be as quick as using a smooth paper, even though using a smooth paper isn't that quick in general anyways. Sorry, let me just fix this quickly so that the camera isn't on autofocus. And your head isn't gonna go all zoomy. Okay, so Autofocus off. That should be a bit better. No more autofocus. Okay. So that was the paper we're using. The pencils we're using, I am using the 150 set of Prismacolor Premier pencils. It's just the big set that you get. And I am using the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, and that is the 120 set. So I'm still sticking to the same pencils as what we used in the last tutorial on the sanded paper, except this time I'll be using a lot more of the wax pencils, the Prismacolor pencils, than I did in the last one. What else did we do yesterday? The background we did using pan pastels again with a few layers, and in between each layer we applied this fixative. So this is the Micador workable fixative, which I find it's not as textured as the textured fixative, and obviously the textured fixative has a texture because that's what it's called, and that's the whole point of it. But this is really good between layers, especially if you want to set a layer down at the bottom and then you want to apply new colors over the top. If you do find that your paper has too many layers of pencil on it and you're finding it hard to layer more on top of it, then you would use the textured fixative to apply more texture to your paper instead of using this fixative. So you got to sort of play around with it and get a feel for it. But in general, I found in this section I did press a little harder than I should have, so I am not able to layer as much. So we'll test it out and see how far I can go, and if I need to, then I'll apply more of the textured fixative. But in general, you want to be using light layers throughout the entire process so that it allows you to do as much detail as what you want. If you press too hard too quickly, you're going to lose the ability to do a lot of layers. So I still do that sometimes. Sometimes I get carried away because I want the color to be a lot darker, and then, you know, if you put more pressure, the color is going to be darker. But that's not really the way you should do it. You should keep layering until you get the darkness that you want instead of using pressure to achieve that darkness. But impatience is what causes that to happen. So that's pretty normal for everybody, I think. And it seems I left my Zested open. So I have my Zested in a little bottle like this, and it's just it's easier than using those other bottles because you really have to press down and twist to get the cap off, and you just want something quick and easy. I like using these little bottles, but really that's up to you. And that's it. And the only pan pastel colors we used the blue and the black, and the blue, this blue is Phthalo Blue, number 560.5, and this is just black. So those are the two that we would use for the background, and the blue in between the black just sort of makes it look a little bit more balanced. It doesn't look as flat, I guess. Okay, so today we also what we did yesterday is we used our color swatches to pick our colors. So I have a whole bunch of colors over here. I'd say about 30. I'm not sure how many I picked, but those are the colors I keep next to me throughout this drawing so that I don't have to look at my huge set and try and find colors again. So you use this to compare it to your reference, find the colors that you need, keep those colors out, and then you'll just keep using those colors. And then on occasion you might find a color that you didn't pick out, and then it's easy enough to go into your set and try and find those colors again. Okay, let me just check. I think there's a few people on Patreon having trouble. I'm getting comments from Patreon, but they need to come into YouTube. Okay, let me just send Margine a PM with the code. She's a little bit confused. Copy. Great. Let me just let her know I sent. Jody is saying that she's watching on her TV, but she can't chat. Yeah, I guess a chat is limited to those that watch on their laptop or computer. Ines, do you have a keyboard attached to your TV where you can type things in? Well, even if you do, I'm not sure how you'd get into the chat anyways. So we'd have to, I don't know, have to work it out. So if you go into Patreon and then you see the link and you click on the link, and on the bottom right you'll see a little YouTube button. Click on YouTube so that it'll take you through watching the live video through YouTube, and on the right of the YouTube screen that you're watching live should be the chat. If it's not there, then it is probably because you're watching it on your TV, or if you're watching from your phone or iPad, you probably won't see the chat either. So that's just something to consider. Maybe something I need to read up on to make sure I actually I'll make a note of that, to do a little YouTube checklist to get into the live streams probably. YouTube checklist to live stream chat. Okay, so I need to remember that in the next tutorial you guys requested that I use a smaller set of pencils, so I'm going to use, in our next US live stream, I will use a set of 24 of my Prismacolor Premier pencils and a set of 24 of my Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, and we'll pick a picture and I'll show you how far you can go with a small set of pencils for those that don't have the bigger set. So I think that's a pretty good one to go about. I'm also going to do a little tip or technique thing for you guys on how to get your references blurred like this, and how to get the outline without you physically having to make the outline. And then what I just wrote down is a YouTube checklist for live streaming. Joanna, see, some of you are on the stream, so I must have posted it in the right place. Joanna doesn't have the link. Okay, let me just message it to her as well. Thanks guys, just thanks for being patient with me. I'd like to get everybody on here who wants to be on here. And the link isn't necessarily a link in the post. You just have to press on the picture with the little arrow on it, and that means that it is a video, and that is the link. You're not going to be clicking on a link specifically. You'll be clicking on the image, which will take you where you need to go. I think some of you are looking for a link. And then you're also getting confused because in the previous post I put the link to part 1, but the link to this tutorial is on the screen. But oh well, I think we're all sorted now. Great. Okay, great. You all here. So Joanna, I'll put your name down. Joanna and Maj, you on there already? Yep, you're the first one on there. Joanna. Okay, so that's everybody sorted. So let's get into this now. So let's zoom in. I'm going to I'm quite happy with this section of the fish. Let me put the right image there. I'm quite happy with this section, so now I feel like I want to move on to the fins. Maybe we'll work from the sides and then work upwards towards them. Jody, why are you guys getting confused? Okay, Jody's watching from her TV, so she's just gonna enjoy watching with all of us. Hi, Jody. Yes, Johanna. So I'm just listing everybody who is a part of the live stream. And then at the end of today's stream, I am going to pick one of those names at random. And that person will get this cute little squirrel in the mail. And I want to do a little giveaway like this for every live stream. I think it will be fun and it will help me. I don't know, I like the idea of having more of my work around everywhere, and especially by giving my work to you guys, because you guys are such a great support system to what I'm able to do every day. So if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do a lot of this, and I'd probably be somewhere on a desk job again. I guess, Joanna, speaking about the Derwent pencils, I should probably try some other pencils. I keep sticking to the same pencils because I guess the reason why I stick to the same pencils is because not everybody can afford to buy all these different sets of pencils all the time. So I want to have majority of you be able to do these tutorials by sort of sticking to the same supplies, but I guess it will also be good to change it up every once in a while. Okay. Hey Daniel, so good to see you on here. It seems like Thursdays, or my Thursday, your Wednesdays, seem to work a bit better than the Tuesdays. So I wonder if I should change that up. Is Wednesdays better for you guys, or is Tuesdays fine as well? Okay, dokes. Now let's get started. You're gonna have to forgive the background. I didn't really think about that. I just try to get the whole video in order. Okay, Joanna, that makes me feel good about not using too many different pencils. And also, I guess I feel very comfortable in teaching with Prismas and Polys because I've used them so much. Okay, so I'm going to get started now. Instead of getting distracted by you guys, I'll try and keep up to date with the chat. I might just zoom back every once in a while. So if it takes me like 5 minutes to respond to you, that's normal. Just feel like that's normal. Okay. Right. So I want to start working on this section. And let me waste a little bit more time, but I'm going to put this image on the screen instead of you guys looking at my image because it's a lot darker. any tippy tap that you hear like that is just my dog's walking around. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to download that. See, I do everything on my Mac computer, which is in the study. And this is my laptop, which doesn't mean I always have everything that I want right here. Right, so now I can go here and I can go add image. Fish. Okay. Okay, now it's really huge. Looks a bit, I have too much light on here. Looks a bit hazy, doesn't it? Let me see if doesn't make much of a difference, does it? Okay, we're just gonna stick to that. Sorry guys, I don't mean to be messing you around. Okay, Joanna is asking, are there any good tips for mixing pan pastels not on the surface? Yes, if you have, because you get a couple of sponges like this with your pan pastel sets, so you could take a smaller sponge and apply a few colors on here and actually mix on a bigger sponge, and then you could use that and then apply whatever mixture you've made on the bigger sponge onto your smaller sponge and then apply that to your paper. So it's probably the best mixing technique for pan pastels. Okay, now I'm going to get started. I'm going to get started now. So I want to start working in the details over here. And I'm going to use a very sharp Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil. Let me zoom in. Let's just put that there. And I'm going to start working on this fin section over here. Okay, let me make sure I set my camera. Recording with multiple cameras in different ways and doing all this stuff is really brain confusing. Too many things to think about at the same time. Right here. So I'm going to use my Polychromos black, so that's number 199. And these dark areas within the fin, like the real stripy bits, I'm going to work in from the background. Towards the fish. And then try not to go too thick with your lines. So this fin is sort of going up this way. So there's a real dark piece over here. And then this fin over the top is almost translucent over the orange one. So when things are translucent, just pay extra attention to the colors. You don't have to be like, oh no, how am I going to make it look invisible? Just pay attention to the color of that section and then keep working on it. Yeah, Joanna, you're just gonna have to practice. And yeah, it's hard. If you're mixing colors, you sort of want to apply. You can only apply a small amount. But if you're mixing a color and you want to use that same color for the entire background, you're better off mixing on your paper. At least the pan pastels are pretty forgiving and manipulative, so you can fix it up pretty easy if you do end up with a color you're not quite happy with. Okay, now I'm going to use the burnt umber number 280, and then I'm going to define those brown parts of the translucent fin that are going over the orange area. So make sure your pencil's really sharp. And that's going to pop out beautifully when we bring out the orange that's underneath those little translucent fins. Okay. So if there's anyone on the stream that hasn't said hi yet between yesterday and today, make sure you just say hello so that I can put your name down. And if I know that you've been a part of the stream, then I'm doing a giveaway at the end of the day, and I'm going to pick a name out of everybody that was a part of the stream. So I can see there's 12 watching at the moment, and I almost have 12 names, but that's between yesterday and today, so make sure you say hi. Okay, now I want to bring that orange out from underneath so that we can start seeing those colors a little bit more. So I'm going to start with the Sunburst Yellow PC917. Okay. And go in between those brown pieces that we just put down, and noticing that this fin actually goes further like this. I'm going to go over the black. So notice how that section there isn't as dark as what we would like it. So I'm going to add a little bit of the Prismacolor white and see how light we can make it. If we can't make it as light as we want, I might use a bit of the touch-up texture from brush and pencil and the titanium white, and then add the color over the top. So that's another option we could use if we need to. But for now, I think this might work. Okay, now I want to bring in some of the darker oranges to define that. So using the dark cadmium orange, number 115. Hey Christy, yep, I have your name down from yesterday. No, fixative isn't absolutely necessary, but it does help. But if you don't have any yet, then go for your life, it's fine. You could just maybe put a final fixative on it at the end if you choose to. But with pencils, you don't have to worry too much with final fixatives. I mean, 90% of my drawings don't have a final fixative on it. But yeah, see how you go without it. You just got your first can, Daniel. Yeah, give it a go and see how it works between your layers of pencils. Okay. So now I'm just going to define this fin more. I was too hasty with filling in the background that I went over some of the sections that are supposed to be the fin. And then we also want to define the edge. Okay. Hey guys, I'm just going to go and grab my cup of tea from the kitchen. I'll be back in 1 second. Okay, I'm back. All good. Ready up. Can't survive without the tea. I think a few of you are still having trouble getting on here. You guys need to click on the image for the link. Okay. Right. So I'm wondering if maybe a good thing to try. Okay, I'm gonna experiment with something. And if you guys don't have that, that's fine. And I don't even know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna try it out anyways. Okay, so this stuff is watercolor ground, which I haven't used before, but the whole idea of this is that if you wanted to use a MDF board, for example, and you wanted to do a drawing on that board, not a painting, so you wanted to make the surface good enough to do a drawing, and when I say drawing, I mean a drawing using your usual pencils, your Prismacolor pencils and your oil-based pencils, and you still want to be able to manipulate your medium in the same way. So apparently what you do is you would apply your layers of gesso as per usual and sand them really smooth, and then afterwards you put a layer of this watercolor ground on it, and it sort of works like your sanded paper works. So it has a texture to adhere to and absorb into, and then that also just makes it a little bit it makes it easy for your pencils to adhere to it instead of just trying to draw straight onto gesso, which I have found just doesn't work for me. It doesn't work at all. So what I want to do is I want to apply this stuff to the fin that's over the black area, and I might even define the really tiny parts around the edges of the fin, so that it sort of goes over my background a little, and then I will apply the details. I'm wondering if I should do that or if I'm just overcomplicating things. Thanks, Daniel. You seem like you're a teacher yourself. Okay, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to try that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some to the fin area over here and let it dry, and then we'll see how we can go with other details. I might get a different brush, actually. Get a real tiny little brush. Postman's here, be in a sec. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, Patreon's mobile platform isn't as user-friendly as the online platform, that's for sure. It'd be nice if you could do all the same things. Jamie, you made me laugh. Yeah, my dogs are the friendliest dogs ever, but Taylor has such a big bark on her that it just freaks everybody out. And she seems so intimidating and scary. And she runs towards the front door, which has a clear window, and then a postman will be standing there, and it's like they want to jump back. Okay. So there's a fair bit of this on here. So I've got this tiny little brush. It's a 2.0 round brush, and I'm going to use this and apply it to here. It's pretty much like adding paper back onto your paper. So you can even use watercolor paint over this, and it will have the same effect. Well, apparently, I haven't tried it for myself. So this might be a good tool to use if you need to fix something on your paper, and then we can see how we go. Try not to apply it too thick. And I'm thinking that this might work a little bit the same as the touch-up texture from brush and pencil, except it's not translucent, which is okay. So let's fix some other edges. And if this doesn't work, then I guess we will figure it out later. You gotta experiment to know. Dougie D. What a cool name. Okay. So those watching this, don't freak out if you don't have this stuff. This is just me experimenting. I don't even know if it's going to work yet. And I'm probably too hasty anyways, because I think you need to let this stuff dry and sort of cure for a day or two. But let's see what happens. Stuff is going to drool down the side soon. Well, if this works out, then I'll do the same for the top fins over here. Okay, so that's dried on that side. So let's see what happens when we add some color to it. So I'm going to come back with the Sunburst Yellow PC917. Still a bit smushy. I'm applying it gently so as to not scratch it off the paper. That's actually looking pretty good. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, and then using the dark cadmium orange 115. Really do want to wait for it to dry properly, but I do not have the patience. Okay, so I'm going to continue using this color. Okay, I'm going to remove myself from the screen so that you can see the screen better. Okay, now I want to use the burnt umber number 280, and these dark sections in the fin, I want to bring them out. Starting to give it a little bit more shape. Okay, then I want to use some of the raw umber number 180 and add more of those browns. These are nice warm tones that complement the oranges and the reds very nicely. Using my dark cadmium orange again, number 115. And then using the canary yellow PC916. Then I'm going to blend all of that with my solvents. I'm going to use the white wax-based pencil. Try and lighten up some of the yellow areas. Okay. Now I'm going to use a little bit of the Cobalt Turquoise PC105 and add these blues to the areas that are translucent. And then blend that in. Here we go again. Today just seems to be a day full of distractions. Sorry about that. Okay, so now I want to use the Peacock Green PC907. And I'm going to add some of this color in this translucent front fin. I'm also going to add some of the Peacock Blue PC1027. And some of the light green PC920. Some terracotta PC944. Okay, I'm going to blend that in and then do those real dark areas defined with the black. looks good. See, that looks translucent, which is what we were aiming for. I just want to add a bit more orange to that. And a bit of the brown we used, the burnt umber 280, so just define that edge of that fin. And then using my black, there's some areas that also need to be a little more defined compared to the background. Better. Yeah, I agree with Ronnie. If there's any other suppliers and you want to check out a good review, have a look and see if Lisa has done a review on them, because she goes through all of that pretty thoroughly and will tell you what you can and cannot do with the pencil and what seems to work well compared to other mediums she's tried. I'm going to start working on this fin now. Sorry, I'm just getting some music for myself. It's very quiet in here. There shouldn't be any more disruptions, hopefully. So using the dark cadmium orange, number 115. using the canary yellow PC916. And then the raw umber, burnt umber 280. Goodbye, Louise. Thank you for coming up when you did. Oh, that's so kind of you, Louise. And you've received the rose as well. Okay, I'll leave your name out of it then. Thank you. Thanks, Louise. Bye. Using a bit of the Peacock Blue PC1027. Good night, Marie. Thanks for coming on. And then using some of the non-photo blue PC919. Some of the light green PC920. Now using the raw umber number 180. Actually, I'm going to use a bit of the indigo blue to make some of those lines even darker. Better. Now using the light cadmium red number 117. Okay, I'm going to blend that in. then I'm going to use the Canary Yellow PC916 and just lighten up some of the areas if I can. And then use some of the white. And some of the Sunburst Yellow PC917. It's the color in this edge. And then using the black pencil just to sharpen up the edges. You can only do this with the black pencil to sharpen up the edges because of the black background. Otherwise, usually you wouldn't do this. And because the edges are quite sharp in general. If you were doing something like fur, then you wouldn't be able to sharpen up the background in this way. Okay, I think I'm going to spray this just so that we can sort of seal the bottom and then wait 5 minutes and then we'll carry on. So I'm going to use the Mikador. Then I'm just going to pause the stream for a few minutes just so that it can dry. Okay, now I'm going to work on this section of the fin. So using the Indan Throne Blue PC208, use this for those real dark shadows, just to really find them, and then it will make it a little easier to add those details. Yeah, the fixative, Daniel, can be quite. I don't like the smells of any fixatives. You do want to open a window, and you also want to make sure that you cover whatever's around your drawing, because that fixative is very hard to get off of things. You don't want it falling like on your phone screen or get into your lights, or if you have a camera, cover your camera. Yep, do that. If you can spray it outside, it would be better. Okay, now that I've established some of the darker areas, I'm going to come in with my Peacock Green, PC907, and add in some of the green stuff. What's wrong, Jamie? Why are you saying oopsie? What'd you do? Using the Indanthrone Blue again, I'm just going to put in these wavy bits along the side here. And then I want to use a non-photo blue PC919 to establish those light sort of veiny bits. This is starting to really give it a nice three-dimensional shape. And it was so much easier to find these areas where we needed to add these colors and sort of designs because our underlayering was done so well. So I'm going to blend that quickly. So we spent a total of 7 hours on this piece, including yesterday's time, and that means that we are going to be taking longer with this one as what we did with the last one, because the previous one only took us 7 hours to finish. I think we'll still go for about another 2, maybe even 3 hours on this one. It's not a toxic, overpowering smell, or the Mikador one does smell a bit toxic, and I really want to leave the room when I spray that one. But the textured fixative just doesn't have a nice smell, but it's not something that you feel is going to make you pass out or something. That's starting to look quite nice. The highlights in the top part of the pin, I want to use the light green PC920. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I don't know what the Winsor Newton ones are like. But pretty much all the fixatives and stuff you're using, they're chemicals. They're not something that's really healthy. Unfortunately, for it to work, it needs to be a combination of things that are not that good. So if you are really, really fussy about spraying things like that, wear a mask and spray it outside. If you don't want to be exposed to it as much. Really, I should be doing that as well. I do make a point of making sure that my dogs aren't here in the room with me when I do spray. But, yeah. Oh, that's great, Jamie. If you want, you can post your progress on the community part of the Patreon page if you want to show us. Or at least maybe post it when you're done. Let us know how you go. You don't need the full set of colors to be able to do this. Just use the same process of using your color swatches and you should get along with it just fine. Okay, I'm going to use a bit of the PC1083. I'm not sure what color that is. Yeah, Margine, the textured fixative it's only something that I'd really want to use on the sanded paper because it's the only thing that works on the sanded paper. But otherwise, I understand what you mean. And it does take away the color, that's for sure. The color doesn't stay as pigmented. I also find that. And it can, if you're working on a board more than paper, I also find that it can be a bit flaky at times if you spray it without shaking it enough, and then it almost like sprays bubbles and clumpy bits onto your surface. So I know what you mean. Okay, I like the way that fin is looking. Now I'm going to work on this top one. Right, so I'm going to use the indigo blue and establish some depth. So I'm going to do the darkest areas first. So this fin is very frilly. So I'm not going to worry about doing it exactly the same as the reference. I just want to, as long as my attempt to make it look frilly succeeds, then I'm going to be happy with it. Yeah, gotta have the white pencils. It'd be great to have a bunch of the white luminance pencils, but they're so expensive, so I just stick to the white Prismacolor pencils. And then if one of them keeps breaking, I don't feel too sad about it because they're not that expensive. Not compared to the luminance anyways, the Caran d'Ache luminance. Are you talking about the luminance pencils, Daniel? 150 US is still expensive for me. Because I can get a white Prismacolor pencil for $1.80 Australian dollars, which is probably like $1 US. And the luminance pencils cost $3.40 in Australian dollars. So it's still going to be more than $2 for pencil. Oh wow. I thought Prismacolor pencils I thought would be pretty cheap everywhere now. Especially since some other brands are really picking up their standards of manufacturing. And there you go. You can see that a little easier now. Yeah, Lisa from La Cree Fine Arts also lives by the Derwent White China pencils. She says they're really great. So that's good. Okay, that's starting to look nice and frilly, and now we can start adding some of those nice colors. I'm first going to add some of the lighter colors, so using the non-photo blue PC919. Daniel, I wanted to thank you so much. When you sent that message on Patreon about your pledge, it made me so happy. That is really so sweet of you. It does take a lot of work and effort, but you know, a little bit goes a long way. So everybody just adding that monthly pledge makes a big difference. So at least I'm still able to do what I love and teach others how to do this as well. So it really made my day. Thank you. Wow, Jamie, I'm surprised you get the Polychromos pencils for that cheap. And I'm using the Canary Yellow PC916. Bring out those nice yellow tones in between some of these fins. Okay, then I want to add some green, some Chrome Oxide Green Fury 276. Majin is asking, how did my workshop go? It went very well, actually. I'm doing another one this Saturday on different ways of getting the textures that you like. So we'll do some fur, we'll do some different plant textures and just textures that seem overwhelming. But the workshop's going to sort of teach the same technique as I did in the beginning of the Siamese fish, where we're going to have blurry images to work from so that we know what base colors to put down and then work up the textures from there. And yeah, so that's going to be this coming Saturday's workshop, which was the same as the texturing one that I did last week, and that went really well. So yeah, I'm excited for this week's one. They're all going really good. They're filling up, which is pretty amazing. And I've got 2 or 3 workshops every month now on Saturdays, so that's pretty crazy too. But I'm extremely happy and everybody seems to really be enjoying themselves, so I'll continue on with it for as long as the interest remains. Okay, so I'm going to blend that in. And that is looking lovely already. I want to add a bit more of that nice sharp green, the cobalt turquoise, PC 105. Okay, and then a little more of the indigo blue to make some of the dark areas sharper. And a little bit of white. Okay, that looks great, and now we can start working on this part over here. Oh, Daniel, I bet she'd be happy about that. Wow, that's very different. And it's so peaceful and relaxing. Sometimes it's just good to give your mind and your body a nice break where you can be creative and just enjoy that sort of tranquility. It's good for your brain. What's good for your brain is good for your body. need to remind myself to drink more water. I have this cool app on my phone called Plant Nanny, and you can, so I've had 2 bottles of water today, and then you just add your water intake and it makes your plant grow. It's so cute. It also tells you don't drink too much water at the same time. But yeah, and then every time you drink water, you just log it onto the app, and then you can watch different plants grow. And if you don't drink water and you don't remember to log it into the app, then your plant dies, which is very sad to see. Ah, Jamie, that's so funny. My boyfriend also has a 3D printer, and he's been printing walls and other things for our miniature models, because we do wall gaming, so, or tabletop gaming. So it's such a handy thing to have. He's got the Prusa something, the orange one. Radio. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm gonna add, I think we're gonna work from the inside outwards, starting off with this section that uses the blue stripes, and then start using the brownish tones over there. So let's start off with I'm going to still use the Indanthrone Blue PC208, just very sharp. That is so cool. My boyfriend loves PC games, and I, for the life of me, cannot get into PC games. So it was really, really cool when we discovered that we both love tabletop gaming, because that's at least something we can do together. And it's not like PC games, because I'm so uncoordinated and I do not have the reaction time that Vinny has, so there's no way I'm just hopeless on a computer. But the tabletop gaming is so much fun, and you can still be creative with that as well, because we paint our own models and everything. So it is great to find a happy medium for us both, where we both got to do what we love, just in something different. I know. But, you gotta do what you enjoy. Like, Vinny feels guilty for gaming for multiple hours sometimes, but I'm like, you work during the day. Do what you want with your time off, and if that means gaming, it doesn't matter if it's productive or not. Just enjoy yourself. And I know how easy it is that for hours to just sweep away when you're doing something that you enjoy. The best part though is that at least Vinny always makes time for me if we are both together. So it's not like he's always stuck behind a computer during his spare time, which I know of some people that struggle with that part with their partners. And like I said, we found something we both really like doing together, so it works out great. Forge of Empires. No. I cannot play PC games. I tried. I don't have the patience for it. If it sounds like a spaceship is taking off in the background, it's just the washing machine. So just ignore it. Those are still things that I have to do. Just like most humans. Okay, I said I was going to work from the center outwards, but I actually think I'm going to work along the edge here first and work out exactly where those edges of the fins are, and if I need to add more to them using that watercolor ground, but if not, then I'm going to try not to if I can avoid it. can still see some of my graphite lines between the colors, so I'm just lightly bringing them out so I can see them. No, I find yesterday was very windy and the last few days, but today doesn't seem to be too bad. That's one thing I need to get used to is this weather in New South Wales. It's so different compared to Perth. It's freezing, freezing, freezing cold in winter. Good night, Daniel, and thank you so much for joining us today. I look forward to seeing the rose when you're done. Oh, you're gonna join in for the owl as well, Daniel. That's in the opposite timeline of what you are. So that timeline, it's gonna be, I'm not sure what time it'll be by you, but it's gonna be about 2:33 a.m. in Australia and 7 p.m. in the UK. So just check the time, see if you can make it, but otherwise you can always watch it afterwards. And yeah, I'm also looking forward to the owl. I think it's gonna be great fun. I'm starting to love the fin already. I think it's looking really great. So it has helped me sort of identify some areas a little bit easier. Now I'm going to add these dark brown colors. So I'm going to start off with the burnt umber number 280. I actually don't know where Daniel's located. Yeah. Yeah, I think he is in the United States. I think it's in the UK now. It's, oh geez, the time would be 3 a.m. in the morning if he was in the UK. It would be around about that time. So I don't think he's there. Okay, so I think he commented on that in Patreon actually, where he said that he might take a half a day off of work so that he could do the owl. That's right. Yeah. It really is nice to see some guys on here. There's not many guys that try and explore their creative side like this. And it's weird because guys tend to pick up on it better than a lot of women, I think. They underestimate their ability. They have a good way of looking at the technical side of things. So if you make it technical, then they'll pick up on it. I'm going to add a bit of the terracotta PC944. And then I'm going to use goldenrod PC1034. And lightly color around some of these brown shades that we put in. Just going to give it that golden tinge. Yeah, that'd be awesome if you could show me a picture of the R2D2. Those printers are so great. If only they could print faster though. Okay, now I'm going to use some of the deep cobalt green 158 to enhance some of the dark greens on the edges of the fin. I'm going to add some of the non-photo blue PC919. And it's the washing machine screaming at me. I love the way this is starting to look. I'm going to add some white. I'm going to use a bit of the light green PC920 and just add this nice beautiful color in some of these areas. And I'm going to blend that in. And then a bit more of the white. And use a bit of the Indanthrone Blue PC208. Fix this edge. Using the same color, darken up some of these areas. And we're almost done. Oh, thanks, Maureen. And one thing I'm noticing, I want to make some of these oranges even brighter. So I'm going to use my light cadmium red. Let me just change the battery in my camera. What's wrong, honey? Are you bored? I'm almost done. Okay, so I'm using the light cadmium red, number 117, and enhancing this red. And here, it makes it look more orangey. That's better. I quite like that. I think I am satisfied with that being the end of it. So I'm going to sign my name. So I think I'll use the non-photo blue PC919. Nice sharp point. I like to put the year on it, so I just put a little 17. And then I love it. I'm so happy. It's all done. So what I'm going to do is I've got all the names of everybody that participated in the live stream between yesterday and today. So I will randomly pick a name. I think there's an app where you can put the names in and it will randomly pick something for you out of the names in there. So I'll do that and I'll let you know who you are. And I will send you the squirrel prints. And I will also make sure that the next tutorial is done with the smaller sets of pencils, and I'll let you guys know about how to make this image blurry and how to get the outline using picmonkey.com. And yeah, I'll do that. So thank you guys for logging in and watching. I will be doing a video next week where I compare the differences between using the sanded paper and using the regular paper. So here's the two of them next to each other, and I feel like I like this one more. The color is more pigmented and I can get finer details in the fins, and the orange definitely sticks out a lot more. And this has quite a reflection on it with my light here. So if I turn this light off, yeah, well, they both sort of have a bit of that reflection or that sort of hazy look if you have a lot of light over it. But I do think I like this one more. But I'll do a YouTube video which goes into the details of using these two methods and what the different materials are that you need if you're going to use sander paper compared to regular watercolor paper. So that'll come up next week. So thank you guys for logging into the stream. So this took a total of, yesterday we did 5 hours and today we did 3 hours. Is that right? 10, 11, 12, 1. Yes, so it took us 8 hours total to do this one, so just an hour longer than this one, which isn't too bad. And it makes sense because there was a little more to deal with when it came to the frills. And yeah, so thanks guys for joining in, and I will see you guys soon. If you have any questions, just pop in on Patreon and ask away. So have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.